Hi guys, so in my last video I told you that I don't think in 2026 it's a viable or a smart financial decision to travel to Europe or particularly the UK for further studies just for financial reasons. Underline just for financial reasons. And the disclaimer here is, if you're traveling abroad in the goal of gaining more, better employment prospects or just getting more money through the student route in 2026, I don't think it's a good route, or I don't think the return on investment is there. You'll disappoint yourself. And I'm speaking from first principles. Myself, I've studied here in the UK and I've lived in Europe for 5 years. So I'm not just talking as this is something I've read or this is something I've heard someone say. This is proper experience, deep observation from fellow sort of like, immigrants or students that we came with here, and just hearing stories of guys that's led me to this position. So just also another disclaimer, this applies if you don't have rich parents, if your parents are not filthy rich, if your parents are not politicians, if your parents are not business moguls, and if you don't have a scholarship, you're going to pay for the school fee yourself, and you don't come from a war-torn country. So you don't come from DRC, you don't come from Sudan, and you don't come from which other country? Central African Republic, maybe Chad. You don't come from a country where any other place is better than your country. Then this video applies to you, or it can help you. And also, what you're coming to study is not STEM. You're coming to study maybe business, humanities, and social sciences. This video is for you. And your main reason for coming to study is not just to broaden your mind, to get sort of like knowledge that you can go back and apply. Your main reason for taking the student route is to go and be a student, and thereafter your studies, use the credentials that you have over there to get a job in the UK. Guys, in 2026, that's no longer the reality, and I'm speaking from experience. So let's break it down why I'm coming to this conclusion. So it's just not someone hungry and decides to complain about the reality in the ground. So number one, in 2026, to come and study a master's course in the UK will cost you north of £20,000. And that's if you go to sort of like the bottom of the barrel cities. By that, I mean, you go to a city where there is no jobs. It's sort of like remote. And so for that reason, the cost of living is cheaper. You understand? And this is also a trap, because when you go to those cities, it means there's very few opportunities. So during your studies, you'll really struggle to get a job. So in the long run, it's actually a wrong decision. But let's break it down. Let's say you choose that choice. You spend £20,000 of your savings, family savings, friends, you do a fund drive, whatever. But regardless, that's a lot of money. If you're coming from Africa, even I think for these British people, very few of them have that kind of amount of money in their accounts. All right. So you spend £20,000 for your school fee. You've not paid your visa. You've not paid your IHS to be able to use the sort of like hospitals, the insurance, medical insurance. And you've not paid your ticket. You've not paid your first rent. You've not paid your bills. Okay. So 20,000 is just for the fee. 2,000 should be for your medical insurance and the visa fees. So that's 22,000. Your flight ticket depends on where you're coming from. This video though is targeted for Africans. Okay. So you add your flight ticket, and you need to be able to cater for at least 6 months of your rent and your bills. Because there's this lie that's told that as soon as you arrive there, you'll get a job and you'll start working to cover those costs. Don't be lied to. Don't lie to yourself. That's not true. That's what the lazy thinkers, the average person just talks from hearsay. But the reality in the ground right now, that's not true. It takes time to get a job, to update your CV, to build your social capital, for someone to take your hand, shows you how things work. So Don't deceive yourself. You could be lucky, but don't depend on luck. Depending on luck is a very bad strategy. So don't disappoint yourself, okay? So to be able to have like 6,000 for 6 months worth of rent and living expenses, that's around 6,000. If you live in a very sort of like bottom of the barrel part of where you're going to, rent is cheap. The social life is not very good because it's sort of like you live in a village. Perception of villagers, if you get what I mean, like they're not very open-minded, and there's few opportunities. You understand? And you're also living very frugally to be able to just survive on that 1,000 pounds as your rent and everything. You hear me? So that's the reality, guys. Now, my second point, why I think moving to Britain in this case, or the West, is no longer good, sort of like, it's no longer good reason through the student route, is once you do your studies and you realize like, okay, the amount of money I'm earning, or while you're studying, you can only work 20 hours. So with 20 hours of work, you're not even, you're not even attractive to employers. So you'll just be working for agencies. 1 week you could get 10 hours, the next week you could get 15. So even the 20 hours that you need to work to be able to take care of your bills, you'll struggle to get the 20 hours consistently. And if you look at it from the lens of an employer, it makes sense because they want a full-time worker. They're not interested in someone who's only working 2 days a week. You understand? So that's just also to put it out there to show you how hard you'll struggle during your, studies. And if you're not mentally strong and smart, you might not be able to finish that school just because of the stress that you'll go through, okay? So there is that. Now, upon graduation, you'll spend another 3,000 pounds to renew your visa and also to pay for the medical insurance. And that's 3,000 pounds, okay? So it's it's not so easy to just have that 3,000 pounds when you've been working on 20 hours per week. You're trying to pay your school fee, and you're also trying to feed yourself and pay rent. You get what I mean? So just to put it out there to you guys, put that into consideration. And remember, you don't have rich parents that you can ask for money to support. And because they're not rich also, they're very ignorant because they've not traveled. They're just acting on hearsay. Because since they were babies and since we were babies, we were told that everything in the West is just a bed of roses. No, that's a long con game, guys. It's not true. That's not real, okay? So, after you finish your studies, you hustle hard, push yourself, you pay for your postgraduate visa, then you get a full-time job if you're lucky and if you're smart in how you network, apply, because it normally takes time, that one as well. So there's also this lie that it's easy to get a job. It's not, guys. And also considering you don't come from here, you get slapped along the way with discrimination or just, we don't find, all that bullshit. So eventually you get some role. You, by being able to legally import yourself into another country, already you have to be very smart and very hardworking. If you don't have that one, don't even try. If you're a lazy person, you have no work ethic, don't do it. Just stay in your country for your peace of mind, okay? So then you go through that, okay? You get a job. So the job that you get, in most cases, if you're not doing STEM, you won't get something that's commensurate to the effort that you've put in your studies and the finances that you've put in to be able to get your degree. So you'll probably get a minimum wage job or slightly above minimum wage job. So if you have poor financial, your financial literacy is so poor, financial discipline is poor, you might not be able to save anything. You might just be living from hand to mouth. You get, like you have no savings. So at that point, you've really not upgraded in that sense. That's what I'm talking about, okay? And now for the UK particularly, the perception of immigrants is so bad. They regularly have like demonstrations in the streets against immigration. And I think that led to last year, the government changed, because earlier on students would struggle to get sort of like attractive roles to what they've invested in and then opt to go for care. Can you imagine writing all those research papers, doing a dissertation just to end up taking care of someone? I'm not saying it's bad, but it does not, the return on investment, you don't need to do all that research to end up just taking, if that's the way, then you should have picked that route from the way, from the word go. And also you've invested a lot of money just to, you know, to study at least, or to open up your mind. So the thing is, last year the government changed the rules. Students that used to do that, they can no longer just, you know, come from being a student and then go to being care. That was 2025 July in Britain. You can no longer do that. Okay? So it means after postgraduate, you really have to be financially smart and disciplined to be able to save something to go back with to your country. But even then, you will not be able to get 30,000 pounds that you spent to come here. You get what I mean? So that's why I tell people that if your main reason for going to Britain right now, or to the West largely, I think Canada is not that attractive in terms of like economic opportunities, and the US, I don't even need to to tell you that. Like, you must be really ignorant if you don't know that already. But the perception in the West right now towards sort of like black people, Muslims, immigrants is not that good. That's just the reality. Like, it is. I'm just shooting straight. That's the reality, guys. People can find nice words to try and, you know, sugarcoat things, but majority, or there's a silent majority that really don't like, you know, immigrants in that sense. So whatever we were told when we were young, in 2026, right now as I speak to you, it's no longer there. You get it? So my point is, if you have all that money to spend to come and, you know, study here, it means that you're fairly privileged to be able to raise that amount of money if you're coming from an African country or wherever you're watching me from. And it means for you to be able to do that legally, not conning your way through it, it means that you're fairly intelligent and you have a work ethic. So if you can invest not even half of that money, even quarter of that money into researching, doing your own research, informing yourself, and using the rest of that money to invest, if your main aim is investing to improve your sort of like material realities, invest that money into a viable or a profitable venture, then you might be better off doing that. So anyway, my reason for saying that is I'm just also trying to speak for us, sort of like, you know, Africans. That's why actually I'm very passionate about sort of like how Africans, I think we are very misrepresented and, you know, spoken to a lot. But just to put it out there for maybe a fellow African student who's thinking of immigrating to the West and does not come from a very, or she does not come from a very wealthy family, just to improve your material realities. Guys, the game has changed and you also have to change with the game. So that's what I think, the African mic. If you know someone that might benefit from this, share with them, let them know, let them have these experiences. People are shy to put it out there, but that's the realities, guys, so that the next people or someone who's just thinking of doing that is not frustrated or is not disappointed in their own choice. Cheers, guys. If this resonated, let me know in the comment, give me some love and share this video. Thank you very much. The African Mic.